Hello and welcome. Today we are looking at the Xinlin Shiye F192 drone, also known as the SG900-S. This is a GPS altitude hold quadcopter that has a tiltable 1080p Wi-Fi streaming camera. It has waypoints, follow me, return to home, and plenty of other neat features, so let's check it out. Now the drone comes in this small white box showing the drone and transmitter clearly there in the front, and this is the Xinlin Shiye F192 for ages 14 plus, and this is a GPS altitude hold quadcopter, and you can see the QR code for its app right there in the upper right hand corner. And here in the back you get a different view of the quadcopter facing head on, and here at the top you could see it's a folding drone. So you could see it when it's folded and compact and when it's in its flying mode. So very neat. And here on the side you can see a listing of all its features, such as headless mode, waypoints, 2.4 gigahertz control, so on and so forth. And here on the side you could see the two configurations that it has, the 720p version and the 1080p, and this one is the 1080p version, so pretty cool. So now let's open it up and take a look inside here. Let's see. So right away we can see the drone and transmitter. Very nice. So let's take a look at the drone first off. Very cool here. And it's already folded and compact, so very sleek. And you can see it says GPS fixed, and it has the triangle there, and you can see the camera and the propellers and bottom portion of the drone. So very nice, very well built. And right here is its transmitter, and we did have to put on the joysticks, but aside from that it's a very well built transmitter, and it has its charging port there at the bottom. And it has these fold out mobile device clip and arms. So very nice, very comfortable, mid-sized controller. And right here in the box we still have a few more items. We have a little bag here with the spare propellers and 4 propeller guards, and a screwdriver and some screws. And we have 2 chargers or charge cables. One for the transmitter and one for the drone's battery. Since the drone's battery is 7.4 volt and the transmitter is 3.7 volt. And they're basically micro USB charge cables with light indicators at the end. And here at the bottom we have the manuals and brochures and QR codes there for the app and how to operate the app and the drone. So very detailed, very descriptive booklet with detailed diagrams and information. So very good. So now let's organize all this and take one last look at the contents of the box. Now, taking a last look at the contents of the box, we have the drone itself. It's 7.4 volt, 1100 milliamp LiPo battery. It's micro USB charge cable, a screwdriver, 4 propeller guards, only 2 spare propellers, a micro USB charge cable for the transmitter, and its instruction manuals and brochures. So that's essentially the contents of the box. Now let's take a closer look at the drone. Now, taking a closer look at the drone, this is a very interesting looking drone that is identical to the F196 or SG900 or SG900-S. They all have this same look and style, and this one says GPS fixed, and it has the triangle there, and it has its on-off button right here at the top. And it is a brushed motor foldable quadcopter with GPS, and it has these plastic end caps that you can simply remove and add the propeller guards. And on each corner there are these bright LED lights that offer good lighting for orientation or night flying. As you can see here, very bright and colorful LEDs with green and red lights. So very good there. And down below on each corner, there's just a little bit of padding or cushioning for landings that can easily wear away after a while. And here at the front, you could see it's a 1080p tiltable camera. As you could see there, 1080p. And it is manually tiltable, so you cannot remote tilt it. And it's a 5 megapixel camera. And as you could see here, it tilts just about 90 degrees. So you could do that prior to takeoff. And now taking a quick look at the bottom here, this is not an optical flow drone like the F196, so no optical flow camera or sensor at the bottom. But we do have these two battery latches right here. So let's briefly remove the battery and take a look at it. This is a 2-cell 7.4 volt 1100 milliamp LiPo battery, and it takes a while to charge, maybe about an hour and a half to 2 hours with this micro USB charge cable right here. And you just simply plug it in on this end and then the other part to a USB charge port. And the battery does provide the quadcopter with around a 10-minute flight time. Now, quickly comparing this with the F196 or SG900 battery, that one had a single cell 3.7 volt 2200 milliamp battery, which will not work with this quadcopter. Even though it's the same exact dimensions as this battery, it will not officially work. It will power it on, but it will not fly. So just a brief comparison there with the F196 battery. And looking at the internals here, I just wanted to point out one interesting detail. The SD card slot, which was absent from the F196, is here on this GPS version, but it was very difficult to access, so I had to use an X-Acto knife to cut out a small slit of plastic there so that I can expose the SD card slot and make it easy to insert the SD card. So just a note there, if you have this model, you may have to cut out a small piece of plastic in order to make that accessible, because unfortunately it was not properly designed. And so accessing the SD card slot is virtually impossible unless you do this small modification. But aside from that, looking at the quadcopter, it is a foldable quadcopter, as you can see here. And you can fold it in just about any direction, starting either with the front or rear legs. And you do have to align the propellers so that it properly folds. And this is how it looks when it's all compact. So very nice. And it folds back out again. And there are no latches or buttons or anything like that. They just simply fold out and snap into place. So that's essentially it for the drone. Now let's take a closer look at the transmitter. Now, taking a closer look at the transmitter, this is a very comfortable, smooth, and rounded transmitter that doesn't take any AA or AAA batteries in the back. It has a built-in internal 3.7 volt 390 milliamp battery that charges down below here with this micro USB port. And it has these fold-out mobile device clips here that you just simply fold out, and they do stretch out quite a bit for a large mobile device, but not quite a tablet. And they also have these folding antennas that are probably for aesthetic purposes. There's no wiring behind them, and so that's kind of interesting there. Now, going over the controls, we have the left throttle stick and the right rudder stick. And then we have our on-off button right here in the center. And when you turn it on, the red LED light there is for signal strength, while the ones on the right are for battery voltage or power. And then we have our speed button with 2 rates of speed denoted by beeps, so 1 to 2 beeps. Then we have our 1 key return or return to home button. And then we have our video and photo buttons that do work on this transmitter with or without the app. So that's pretty cool. And here on the back, we have 4 buttons. These 2 are on the left are not used, and these 2 here are for headless mode, and the other is for auto takeoff and auto land. So those are essentially the controls. Now this transmitter does offer the quadcopter around an 80 to 100 meter range of control. So that's essentially it for the controller. Now let's take a closer look at setting this up for its first time flight and its app. Now, setting up the drone for its first time flight is very straightforward. Once you have a fully charged battery along with an SD card inserted into the drone and have fully charged the transmitter's battery, you would first start out by activating the drone right here at the top and keeping its on-off button pressed until you see the lights start to blink. At that point, you would turn on the transmitter by keeping the button in the center pressed, and it should automatically bind out of the factory. There's no need to push the throttle stick up and down. And once it's bound, you would first start out by calibrating the drone's gyros by moving the left stick to the upper left corner and the right stick to the lower right corner, and you should see some rapid blinks. Make sure this is done at the ground level with the drone flat and not moving. Now you want to calibrate the drone's GPS compass by moving the left stick to the lower left corner and the right stick to the upper right corner. You should see some increasingly rapid blinks. At that point, you start rotating the drone clockwise on its flat horizontal axis for about 3 spins. And then once that is done, you want to put the drone facing downward and rotate it another 3 times clockwise on its vertical axis. And when that is done, you should notice the lights change and they will blink at a slower pace, indicating they are searching for satellites. And once they go solid, that indicates that you have full GPS lock and you're ready to take off, and the home point will be safely remembered. But at this point, we want to connect to the drone's Wi-Fi and start up its app. So let's do that right now. Now, once in your mobile device's Wi-Fi settings, you want to look for an entry that says Wi-Fi 1080p GPS and a serial number. So you want to connect to that. And initially there is no default Wi-Fi password or anything like that. So you can just go ahead and connect to that. And then you can proceed to launch this app right here, which is LWFPV, and it has this lens icon right here, LWFPV, and it's in both the iOS and Android app stores. So once you download that app, you just simply launch it, and then in this main screen here, you would hit start. And once you launch that, you will right away have an FPV feed. And as you see, the drone has a pretty clear, nice FPV feed with low latency. And the FPV range is about 80 to 100 meters. So fairly good there. And now taking a closer look here at the app, going over the controls a bit, this button here will take us back to the main menu or the main screen. And as you can see, we have some telemetry here on the altitude, height, and speed of the drone and number of satellites. And we have some telemetry on the pitch and roll and so on and so forth, including the battery percentage and Wi-Fi signal or signal strength. And here we have some options that we can change around and parameters, such as setting the app controls at mode 1 or 2 or calibrating the GPS or gyros. And on this page here, we could set some parameters on waypoints, the speed or maximum height that each waypoint will have. Here are some map options, so we can show the satellite view or just a map view. And here we have just some basic camera and preview options right in there. And now going over some of these buttons, this will enable the special modes such as follow me, circle, around, or the waypoint mode. And once in waypoint mode, you can mark your waypoints and then submit them and have the quadcopter fly those waypoints based on points marked on the map. And then you could set the follow me mode, or you could set the circular path mode here, and you just simply put a point and submit it and it will fly around that point. Right here we can enable the virtual controls, and we have our left stick and right stick, and we have this mode right here, which is the auto land, and this will enable or disable the motors. This is the auto takeoff, and then right here we can split the screen for VR goggles, and here we can take video, photos, or access our photo gallery to see our saved pictures and videos. And you can activate the photos and videos either through the transmitter control buttons or the app. So plenty of options there. But overall, a decent GPS quadcopter once you modify it to expose the SD card slot, as I know a lot of people have been having issues either removing or inserting the SD cards. But the GPS functions work properly. It's a smooth flyer. It would have been nice to have a little longer flight time, kind of like the Optical Flow version of this. But let's take it up for a little flight and see how she performs.
never stop. I've been stressed out, watching both these hands around the clock. With my eyes wide, trying to get the panorama shot. Whole world getting blurry to me, answers getting lost. So I watch my back and keep it moving to the front. And remember that the world's yours, do it how you want. You've been waiting here for too long, think it's time for you to move on. Realize that there's real lies in these real times to be strong.
I've been waiting all my life, and it was right before my eyes. Watching all this time slip by, now I realize. You know I've been waiting, 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 waiting. But will you wait for me?
Forever grinding, waiting for my time to shine just like a diamond. But life is rough and I ain't with that funny stuff. I use it all as motivation, but it's hard to have the patience. Watching time fly by might be the hardest thing I have to do in life. Frustrated that I ain't where I want to be yet, but I know that I'ma make it if I chase that check. Yes.
Cause I done seen the time go by for too many years now when the stars were aligned. Cause I done seen the time go by. Yeah, I done seen the time go by.
I've been waiting all my life, and it was right before my eyes. Watching all this time slip by, now I realize. I've been waiting all my life, and it was right before my eyes. Watching all this time slip by, now I realize. You know I've been waiting, 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 waiting. But will you wait for me?
Told myself to push and never stop. I've been stressed out, watching both these hands around the clock. With my eyes wide, trying to get the panorama shot. Whole world getting blurry to me, answers getting lost. So I watch my back and keep it moving to the front. And remember that the world's yours, do it how you want. You've been waiting here for too long, think it's time for you to move on. Realize that there's real lies in these real times to be strong.
I've been waiting all my life, and it was right before my eyes. Watching all this time slip by, now I realize. You know I've been waiting, 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 waiting. But will you wait for me?
Forever grinding, waiting for my time to shine just like a diamond. But life is rough and I ain't with that funny stuff. I use it all as motivation, but it's hard to have the patience. Watching time fly by might be the hardest thing I have to do in life. Frustrated that I ain't where I want to be yet, but I know that I'ma make it if I chase that check. Yes.
Cause I done seen the time go by for too many years now when the stars were aligned. Cause I done seen the time go by. Yeah, I done seen the time go
I've been
by.
waiting all my life, and it was right before my eyes, watching all this time